Okay, we are at Parshat Hashavua, and it is Portion-Vayara. Okay, here we go. See, just give it a little time. We're on page 100 in the art scroll. We're going right to just to get one for your brother and mother. Okay. Hello. Like I said, we're on page 100. What we're going to do in this parsha is not start at the very beginning. We're going to start at the 7th Aliyah, because the 7th Aliyah is the most talked about Aliyah in probably the whole parsha. There's a lot of very interesting stuff that goes on in the parsha. Just to point out that this is the parsha where the angels appear to Avraham, and they say to him that you're going to have a child. You can sit here. You don't have to be separate. Unless you're a separatist, I don't know. You're a separatist. Okay, that's something else. What do they call? They call that the Quebecois in Canada. The Quebecois, they're separatists. So there was. Okay. Anyway, so like I said, in the beginning was the Malachim. They talked to Avraham, telling him he's going to have a child the next year. He's 100 years old at this point. And Sarah hears it, she laughs, fine, and then a mocking sort of laugh, the rabbis say. It's a very interesting thing to go through. Then we see that he davens on behalf of Lot, on the behalf of Sodom and Gomorrah. He argued with God. This is another fascinating thing. Then you have, after that, Lot deals with the same malachim who -1 that came to Avraham, and he gives them food and drink, and tries to, according to everybody, he tries to defend the people of Sodom to no end because they're wicked. He is saved in the merit of Avraham. Okay, then he leaves. He does something. His daughters get him drunk because they think that the world is going to end, and therefore, or has ended, and mankind is destroyed. So they get him drunk. They get impregnated by their father. Avraham, either through embarrassment or because nobody's around anymore, leaves the area, ends up with Avimelech. Now mind you, Sarah he's 100, she's 90 years old. There are 10 years difference between them. And Avimelech says, "Oh, who's that?" Talking about Sarah. And he says, "This is my sister." Same story they said about the Pharaoh. Only now, like I said, when Pharaoh, she was only 65. So now she's 90 and she's still very beautiful. Avimelech takes her. Avimelech is afflicted with some sort of disease that they can't do anything. Fine. He calls to Avram and says, "What do you do?" Because God comes to Avimelech in a dream, says, "You took this guy's wife. He's a prophet. Let him go," and so on and so forth. Again, all interesting stuff. It's amazing, actually. If you go through it, you can spend on this particular parsha, like Parsha Bereshis, you can probably spend a lifetime going through it because there's so many interesting things. And then you also have, after that whole incident, so you have the birth of Isaac. And people are saying, is it Avram's baby or is it Avimelech's baby? Wow. That's another thing. And then Avimelech will make a peace treaty with Avraham. Again, fascinating stuff to go through. But now we come to the part which bothers everybody. Okay, this is what really gets everybody's juices running. And this starts chapter 22. It says, "Vayhi achar hadavarim ha'ela." It was after these things. First of all, the question is, after what things?
Everything that preceded in this.
Okay, good. That's what you want to say? Fine. Ve'elokim, and Hashem, the God of justice, Nisa et Avraham, tested Avraham. So what do you mean testing? Why is he testing him? Why do you test somebody? Normally to find out what they know, to find out their limits. That's normally why you're testing. I'm going to test you. I'm going to check your trustability. So I'm going to test you. I remember somebody made a business deal. So the person gives him a check for the smallest amount. So the person's response is, "Oh, so you're testing me to see if I can produce what I'm saying?" The answer is, of course I am. Okay, no, I don't know what's going to happen. So wait a second. Hashem doesn't know if Avraham can pass the test? What kind of test is that? Okay. Vayomer love, and he says to him, Avraham. He said, God calls out to him, Avraham, Vayomer hineni. And Avraham says, here I am. What, he didn't know where I was. So first thing, Rashi says, Achar hadavarima eila. Rashi says, Yesh marotenu. So our rabbis say that it was after the words of the Satan.
Oh.
The Satan. Because, by the way, what's the biggest problem? If you remember back, where it says Achar versus Acharei, right? So it was, where did we see that? I think it was last week we saw that, where it says Acharei versus Achir, and it was saying that one, when it says Acharei, it was right here. Let me just bring you right to it. I'll tell you where it is anyway. It's in Parshat Lech Lecha, and it's talking about right after the war. I think it's the fifth Aliyah, if I remember correctly. It's fifth. Let me see, where is it? It is, the fifth Aliyah, and then it says Acha Hadrima Eila, after these things. So Rashi says, Kol Makom Shenema Acher Samuch. Wherever it says the word Acher, it means close to. Acharei means far away.
What's the
Achar and Acharei is both after.
what's the dictic of Acharei? It almost sounds like it's part of the construct of
it. Is. It's the same thing. Achar versus Acharei. So Achar is after, and Acharei is after. But the difference would be, Rashi's telling us, whenever it says Achar without the Yud, it means close to the event. Whatever we do is just talking to. Versus Acharei Mot, after the death of whomever. So that's a distant thing. We're not connecting it to here. So here it's Vayhi Achar Hadrima Eila. It's after those things. So this means that it should be close to the event. So you would be correct. It should be close to the event. And that would mean that it was just dealing with Avimelech and so on and so forth. We're following history. Fine. Rashi says there are some the rabbis say no, it doesn't mean that it's Achar Dvarim Shel Satan. These are the afterwards of Satan. And what happened? Shaim Katreg, and he accused and said, Mikol Seuda Sha'asa Avraham, from a whole meal that Avraham made. In other words, when he weaned Yitzchak. Wait a second. Weaned Yitzchak. That Yitzchak is now 37 years old. What do you mean? He was 2 years old when he was weaned. This is 35 years ago. So our rabbis is saying this is after that event that the Satan accused Avraham 35 years ago. And what was the accusation? Avraham, this meal that Avraham made, lahikriv lefanecha parechad. He never brought to you, God, even though he made a meal for everybody else, he never brought you, God, a par echad, not even one cow, or ayal echad, or a ram. So Amar lo, he said, so the Hashem retorts, Kalum asa ela bishvil v'no. He only did this for his son. Ilu hayiti omer lo zvach oto lefanai. If I were to tell Avraham to sacrifice his son before me, lo haya ma'akev, he wouldn't stop. So this is a famous bet.
He wouldn't what?
He wouldn't restrain himself. It sounds like the famous bet for the two rich guys talking. You have all these different things. I forget what the movie was with Eddie Murphy, but it's a famous bet between the two rich guys. Actually, it can go back to My Fair Lady, even with Rex Harrison and whoever that was, and Judy and whatever who the girl was. You know, I forget the whole. You know the movie My Fair Lady. Okay, I can't help you.
I know Trading Places.
Say it again.
I know
Trading Places. There you go. Okay. The point is, we seem to have a bet going on where the Satan says he didn't give you anything, and God says if I would tell him to give me his kid, he would do it. 35 years later, now we have the test. That's number one. Number two, v'yesh omrim. And some people say no, it has nothing to do with Avraham with the Satan and Hashem. Rather, Acha devarav shel Yishmael. We're talking about the words of Yishmael. What happened? Shahaya. Now this could be yesterday. I mean, in this time period, 37 years later, 35 years later. Excuse me. No, 37. Right, he's 37 years old. Shahaya Parel Yitzchak, because he bragged over Yitzchak and he said, Shamal ben Yud Gimel Shana v'lo Micha. I, Yishmael, was 13 years old when I had a bris milah, and I had the choice to say no, and I showed my love for God by saying, "Go ahead, Dad, give me a bris milah." And you obviously didn't do it. Amar lo Yitzchak, because when did Yitzchak have his bris milah?
8 days.
8 days. He didn't have a choice. He wasn't there to say, hey, excuse me, I don't really agree to this. I mean, we don't let our kids get into a conversation. It's 8 days there. We do it. That's a mitzvah. So Amal Yitzchak. Yitzchak says to him, Be'ever echad ata yimareni. You did it with one limb. Oh boy, you showed it. Ilu amar li HaKadosh Baruch Hu zavach atzmecha lefanai. If Hashem told me, sacrifice yourself before me, lo yitim ha'akev, I wouldn't hold back 1 second. Okay, so now what's the Midrash answering? 2 questions. One is, why is Avraham being tested? And why is Yitzchak being the one who's put up? In other words, for Hashem, for Avraham, is simply because Satan accused him and said he's not a loyal servant, because Hashem says he is. Same thing with Job. Again, you have the same motif there. When it comes, but why pick on Yitzchak? Because Yitzchak opened his mouth. By the way, what you're learning here is never, ever, ever challenge Hashem. Never open your mouth. Somebody says to you, I'm better than you. Say, Gesundheit. Don't get involved and say, if Hashem would tell me, Baba. Because the worst thing that will happen is Hashem may possibly listen to you, and you will be thrust into the test of your life. So you really don't want Hashem to test us. We don't look for it. We're not interested.
Yeah, that's why we don't speak about things that we don't want to happen. Right?
Correct. We don't even speak about things we do want to happen many times. Because for those who daven to say, Hashem, I know I can handle the test. Let me win the mega box. First of all, you don't know what you can take. Okay? And so while we may think we want it, by the way, I invite everybody to try this experiment. When the tickets are at 640, what is it, $250 million that we had, I think, or $500 million?
Yeah.
We had up
300 right now.
Good. Good. 300 million? At 300 million. So what do? You buy a ticket. Buy a ticket, put it in the refrigerator, and then go home to your spouse or whoever you're with, and you say to them, okay, we're going to share the money. What do we do with it? Oh, well, you get into a fight before you win the money. I want to do this. I want to do this. No, but why do we have to do that? We can just do this. No, I want to give 10% tzedakah. No, we have to set up a trust fund. Why a trust fund? Because everybody's going to come. All the fights happen before we get the money. Can you imagine when you win the money? It's worse than what the media is doing with all the candidates. Yeah. you would never be able to survive. And that's the problem. So when we challenge the system, instead of saying whatever Hashem wants is fine, Hashem wants me to win, I'll win. Hashem does. I mean, I'm not discouraging anybody. Spend your dollar. Enjoy the 300 million. Okay? But, yeah, Mr. Hashem, don't forget 10% to the Torah Center, 1% to me for telling you to buy the ticket. 1% to me, that's all I'm asking. Okay. And I'll deal, there you go. Yeah, we'll deal with it, right? Okay. But really, that's what, now, the Ramban, Nachmanides looks at this and says, okay, what's going on here? God tries Avraham. He says, the matter of the trial, in my opinion, he says, is as follows. Since a man's deeds are his absolute free command to perform them or not perform them at his will, on the part of the one who is tried, it is called a trial. But on the part of Hashem, who tries the person, it's a command that the one being tested should bring forth the matter from the potential into actuality, so that he may be rewarded for a good deed, not for a good thought alone. Okay, here's something very important. We think that we would act in such a manner in every single particular case. The question is, when push comes to shove, how do you act? Do you bring that? Here we've been learning for the past 3 months, 4 months, whatever it is, about bitachon and amunah, faith in Hashem, trust in Hashem. When it comes down to it, it's all great in theory. We read these stories from Torah anytime, and we say, oh, cookie cutter stories, I love them. They always end off well. It's like watching any one of our serials on TV. You know, in 42 minutes, they're going to solve the problem, no matter what it is. If it's Grey's Anatomy, they're going to cure the disease of their lifetime. You know they're going to do it. I shouldn't say nobody dies, but normally nobody dies in these shows. Anybody who ever watched The Apprentice, that was the president's show for many years. President-elect show. I don't want to take Obama out of the equation yet. But everybody knew watching it that the show would end off well. It's just the way it was. It was reality TV, but we knew it would work out. And all these shows. So also in this, we wanted to end off well, but when we're involved, we personally become involved in these struggles. What's our reaction? What was everybody's reaction for the people who were at Minyan this morning? What was everybody's individual reaction when we didn't get 10? I don't want to know. I'm not asking you. I'm not asking you to divulge secrets here. But really, was there a feeling of, okay, Hashem, that's what you wanted. We had 11 lined up, potential 12 actually, and for whatever reason you didn't want it, I accept it. B'kolev, with a whole heart. Or do we walk out, I can't believe it. It should have worked. What's your reaction? Because that is a very simple test. Do we have bitachon in Hashem? Do we believe that there's somebody running the ship and is always for our best, or don't we believe it? That's a simple test. You're driving down the highway and you run into a roadblock. Yeah. Again, you have to go around. You're trying to make time and the train comes through. What's your reaction? Or better still, you're at the store and what happens, and this is the day that people used to pay cash. For those who don't pay cash anymore, they don't know what I'm talking about. But when you used to go to the store and you used to pay cash, what happened when you would find yourself 5 cents short? What do you put back? Do you put it back? Do you claim as a person who's not? And normally, by the way, although in those days there were also older cashiers who would normally say they'll throw the 5 cents in. But for that minute, you realize that I don't have the money. Yeah. It's an embarrassment. Yep. Again, people who don't understand cash and they use charge every single time have no concept of what I'm talking about. Because what happens when your card is rejected? You say, must be the wife. Somebody didn't pay. It must be a mistake. Oh, I have to call up. You're not embarrassed. Actually, I don't know if anybody gets embarrassed today anyway about anything. I'm not sure. I think embarrassment is long gone. But it's think about it though. In those days, when you didn't have it, you were embarrassed. And again, that's a test. How do you deal with the test? And that's what the Ramban is saying. That we go from potential, what we think we would do, to actuality. And that's a test to us. And Hashem is saying, live up to it. I know you can do it. Now you just have to. And you said you could do it. By the way, you said you could do it. I know you can do it. You said you could do it. Here it is. Go for it. Prove to yourself that you can. Not to me, I know you can do it. Prove to yourself you can do it, yeah.
So could you say that this parsha really gets people's goat?
Yeah.
That's later. Gets the goat.
Oh, okay. Okay, Ram. It's Ram further on. Okay. So now also the Ramban continues. No further, God tries the righteous. For knowing that the righteous will do his will, he desires to make him even more upright. And so he commands him to undertake a test, but he does not try the wicked who would not obey. Thus, all trials in the Torah are for the good of the one who is being tried. Okay, so at any time, that's his way of taking the test. Anytime we have a test, we have to understand it is for our best. And we have to go with it. Now, we don't know if we're being tested, by the way, or if we are being punished. We don't know that. That's part of the test, by the way.
You mean like it's a kapora for something?
Be a kapara. So now we don't know. So now let's go on. Now remember, Hashem is testing Avraham. It says Avraham, it says Hineni. Hineni means, here I am. Is Rashi says Kachi Aniyatam Shal Chasidim is the answer of the Chasidim. Lashon Anav is a language of humility, and I'm here. Fine. He says Vayomer. Hashem says Vayomer. Excuse me. Kach na. Rashi says this word na means please, not now. In other words, take now versus take please. Rashi says kach na ein na ela lashon bakasha. He says this na is only a language of please, which means Armalo. He's really saying bevakasha mimcha amud li bezeh nisayon. Please stand with me in this test. So the people couldn't. So the people couldn't say the original tests were nothing. Remember, this is the 10th test. Nobody knows. Nobody's keeping count. We keep count. But in his life, he has 10 tests. So if he doesn't do this, it's as if all the tests retroactively were worthless. Okay? So he says, Kachna bincha, take your son. Et yechidcha, your only one. Asher ahavta, that you loved. Et Yitzchak. Yitzchak. Rashi says, what's going on here? Just say, take your beloved son Yitzchak and let's go on with this. So Rashi explains, Amalo is when it says your son. Amalo, Avram says, Shnei banim yeshli, I have 2 sons. So he says, Amalo, so Hashem says, okay, et yechidcha, take your only one. Amalo, Avram says, Zeh yachid imo, v'zeh yachid imo. This one is special. The only son for this mother. This one's the only one for this mother. In other words, they're both only children, right? For me, I'm the father. I have 2 kids. But you're saying yechidcha. You're referring to the mother, I'm guessing. So which yechidcha? Mine, or is it Sarah's, or is it Hagar's? Amalo shehavta. He says the one you love. So again, Amalo shneim ani ohev. I love both of them. By the way, he does. He did. He clearly loves Yishmael.
He didn't want to send him away, right?
He didn't want to send him away. If you just simple shot, he didn't want to send him away, and he loves him. He always prays for him. Yishmael has got so many brachot of increasing children, because Hashem kept saying he's your seed. Don't worry, I'm not going to kill him. I'm going to have a bracha, a bracha, a bracha, a bracha. I think he gets a bracha like 4 or 5 times. I mean, Esav doesn't get that many brachot. And so what happens? And then he says, Amrlo, after all this, Yitzchak, take Yitzchak. So the Rashi says, V'lama lo gila lo mechila. Why did he tell him from the beginning? And the answer is Shalo Aravu Pitom. So he shouldn't shock him suddenly. And then he would be all ripped up. And then when it would happen that he would take Yitzchak and bring him up to the and want to sacrifice him, so that would be that people could say he was confused. If you would have given him time, he wouldn't have done it. So you understand that? In other words, when do you do things? If I tell you to do something and you don't have a chance to think it through, and you do it, you would tell me, let's say you did something wrong, you would say, if you would have just given me time, I would have realized not to do that. Okay? So here, he's being told to kill his son. And so, okay, fine. If you get me right off the top of the bat, and God's telling me kill the person, I have to kill him, right? But if I would have thought about it, would have argued with it. Here I'm arguing all the way through, by the way. Avraham is arguing, I don't know what you mean. Which son? The one, I love them both. They're both.
So Rashi's giving us the midrash here?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Rashi is giving the midrash, but based upon, why does it say at bincha, at yechidcha, asher ahavta, at Yitzchak? Just say it quickly. Bincha, kach et Yitzchak. Take it over, get it over with. Just take Yitzchak. Okay. And then he says even more convoluted. And you should go for yourself, by the way. Whenever it says lech lecha means go for yourself. El eretz Moriah, to the land of Moriah. Not to the Har HaMoriah. He doesn't tell him where. It's like saying, and go to South Bend. Well, where in South Bend? Where do I set my GPS to? It doesn't give a place. And you will bring him up there as an olah, as an offering, al achad harim, on one of the mountains, that I will say to you. So Rashi, again, is explaining that it means Eretz HaMoriah, the land of Moriah, means Yerushalayim. Okay, fine, I'm skipping a lot of that. And why is it called Moriah? Because from there the Hora'ah, the teachings, went out to Yerushalayim. Okay, very nice. And then it says, Alehu. Now Rashi is anticipating the question. 1 second, let me just finish this off. Rashi is anticipating the question. Says, bring him up. And Rashi says, V'lo amar lo shachtehu. He didn't say kill him. He didn't say slaughter him. He said bring him up. So lefi shahaya v'chafetz hakadosh baruch hu l'shachto, because lefi shlo haya chafetz hakadosh baruch hu l'shachto. Hashem didn't desire Avraham to slaughter him. Just to bring him up to the mountain to make an olah offering. And once you brought him up, Amalo reduce, you bring him down. So Hashem is not interested. Rashi is anticipating everybody's questions, saying, you thought he meant kill him. And so he's saying, no, he never meant kill him. He said, bring him up. And for the part la'olah, yeah, we'll do an olah offering there. But bring him up. Once you brought him up, put him down. But Avraham doesn't hear that. Avraham hears what we all heard. We all heard. Bring him up as an olah. So that means I have to sacrifice you. The question was?
It's called land of Moriah or Moriah because...
From there, Hora'ah went out. It's a play on words.
Yeah. So, are the people there called Moriim or are they
Canaanim.
So...
Because you're called after the family name, not after the land name.
Okay. So, which ones were there? Which tribe? Which Canaanim?
I'm not sure what you're asking. Which part of the...
There are multiple tribes of the Canaans.
Yeah, so it could have been Yevusi, it could have been anybody there. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
And he says la'olah though.
For an olah.
Yeah.
For an olah. Right.
Oh, you're saying, not necessarily him.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what Rashi is saying.
Yeah, okay.
Again, he's saying Hashem didn't say which one. And then why didn't Hashem identify the mountain? Once again, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mitaya Tzadikim V'Yachakach Megali Otam. First he hides it, makes them wonder, then he reveals it. All this in order to increase one's reward. And so, why is it increasing one's reward? Remember, if I know where I'm going, I set the GPS, I know where I'm going, there's really no reward in following GPS. On the other hand, if I don't tell you where I'm going, I have to trust you're going to give me the proper directions. And so each part of that trust increases my reward because I'm showing my great love for you. Fine. Now what happens is, so Hashem tells him all this. Vayash came Avraham b'boker. So Avram gets up in the morning, early in the morning. Okay, before and Vayachavosh echamoro. And he saddles his donkey. Rashi says, by the way, two things. Why did he get up early in the morning? Because he wanted to do the mitzvah. Here he's being told to bring his son up, and he hurries to do the mitzvah. By the way, he had a night to sleep too. So you would think he should be negotiating it. Rabbi Shalom, I negotiated Sodom and Gomorrah. Maybe I can get the IVR too. Yeah.
Why is he riding on his donkey?
They didn't have horses, and donkeys were they could put stuff on the donkey. Everybody had donkeys.
And better
the
mountain animal too, yeah?
Right. Yeah. Horses, I don't think they rode horses in those days for the most part. You always see them riding on donkeys. They all ride on donkeys. I guess they were better animals. Again, if you're pulling things with you, so it makes sense that you would saddle your donkey like that. Okay. And then he says he saddled it. Now, who atzmo? He himself saddled it. What? Now, he has 318 servants. Think about that. Can you imagine any rich person? I'll pick on Trump. Trump driving his own car. He doesn't know how to drive properly. He has people driving for him. He certainly doesn't fill. He certainly doesn't fill the car up with gas. He certainly doesn't load the car with his wife's luggage. Come on, you have 318 servants. What are you doing? And so he says. So Rashi says, where is it? When I love to do something that, as it were, ruins or upsets the line of order. In other words, he should have said to his servants, "Load it up." No, he doesn't, because he wants the mission so much. Yeah.
What do you have back horses?
You got me on that. I don't know. You have to know if horses were. What was it called?
They had them in Egypt. In Egypt.
Oh, good. Okay, but what was it called when you train them, when you break them? What's it called? Domesticated. You have to know they were domesticated like that. Again, what was the horses used for? Were they used for riding? Were they used for pulling the chariots? What exactly was their use? And did everybody have them?
Horse was used for speed if you want to just ride somewhere, but I don't think they're a beast of burden.
Right. So, I mean, that's what you're looking at. So now what happens? He wakes up early. He takes 2 young men with him. Young men, mind you. That's what it says, Na'ar, young men. Who are these young men? Yishmael. Yishmael, if Yitzchak is 37, add another
13 for Yishmael.
13 years, right? 13 years. Add another, is it 13 or more?
Yeah, because
15, right? Oh, he's 13.
when
Add another 13 years.
Bris Milah.
Good. Add another 13, so you have what? 50. So he's 50 years old. He's called a young boy. The Eliezer, he's really Altakaka. He's in his 80s to 90s, kind of loud. Maybe more than that. And he's being called a young boy. Why? So that's what I'm saying. When you ever see the word Na'ar in the Torah, you cannot assume that it is a 12 to 12 and a half year old child. This just means a person subservient to another. Yeah.
Does it ever mention when is it David that goes out to fight Goliath? Yeah. Does it say an R, or does it actually give it his age when he went out to fight the Goliath?
You have to look to that. He's not called an R. I don't. You mean does Goliath call him? Does Goliath call him an R?
No, I was wondering if David was an R or something along those lines.
Well, he could have been. Again, it wouldn't make him young, though.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. But most of the depictions are a young kid fighting a really big and old.
Oh, again, Na'ar doesn't make you 50 years old. 50 years either. I'm just saying it could be whatever he was. He was, you'd have to look up the exact word. I think he says, "What are you sending me a little boy for?" Yeah. I think that's what Goliath says, because he's insulting him. Okay, so, and why do you have 2? Because an important person shouldn't be alone. Fine. And then what happens? So he takes the 2 boys with him, Yitzchak beno, and Yitzchak his son, and he is the one chopping the wood for the Olah offering. Again, not asking his people to do it. The question is, why did he have to chop wood at all? What's his problem? Just go wherever you're going to go and pick up the wood from the wood piles. It's a big deal. You're not bringing stones to make your altar. You're not doing anything else, so why bring the wood? So the answer that they give is because apparently he held that if the wood is wormy, that it's not fit for the service, so he brought his own wood. Okay, fine. He gets up and he goes to the place that Hashem told him to go. Fine. What happens? On the 3rd day, Avraham lifted his eyes, and Avraham sees the place from afar. What did he see? So, first of all, Rashi says, why did he wait so long? Again, so Avraham could not say, if you would have given me time. He has 3 days to travel around the area. He has time to think, and so on and so forth. There's no way he was rushed into it. What does it mean he saw the place? Ra'a anan kashor al hahar. He saw a cloud that looked like it was tied to the mountain. A strange event, what?
Any cloud looks like that. What do you mean tied to the mountain?
It looked like it was tied to the mountain. A cloud looked like it was tied around the mountain.
Totally surrounding the top of the
Yeah,
mountain.
I guess so. So it looked like it. Again, when you look, you never played this. Your parents, I can't believe your parents never played the game when you're driving on the highway and they want to keep you guys quiet and say, "Look at the clouds. What do they look like to you?" You never played that with you? No.
I did that.
What?
We were mostly quiet in the class.
Oh, that's a problem. That's the problem. Okay, never had distraction. I know that my parents would say, "Oh, look at that! What's that cloud remind you of?" And then you get in. And so I'll give you the homework assignment. When you see clouds, look up in the sky. Not all the cumulus clouds that when they're bunched up, but the floating clouds. When you're at the beach or something, you look up and say, "Oh, I see that," or "I see that," or "I see that," I see that. Use your imagination. So now what happens is they're there, and he sees what looks like a cloud that was tied to the mountain. So here the next line is Vayomer Avram el Ne'arav. Avram says to his two servants, his two boys, namely Eliezer and Yishmael, Shavulachem im hachamor. You stay here with the donkey. And I and the young man we will go until Ko, whatever Ko means. Let's put it to there, just for argument's sake. And we will bow. We will worship. In other words, we'll have our prayer service. And we will return to you. So the Midrash says I'm going to have to go by memory here because I don't know who says this specifically, but it says when he asked the people, in other words, he's with three guys. He's with his son and he's with the Yishmael and Eliezer. So he looks at him and says, "So, you see anything there?" So Yishmael and Eliezer say, "No, we don't see anything." And Yitzchak says, "Yeah, it looks like the cloud is tied to the mountain." Oh, so he says, "Okay, you two stay with the donkey, because just like the donkey doesn't see anything, neither do you." Okay, and that's where you get the famous thing, "Am doma lechamor." The nations are considered like the donkey. In other words, they're a beast of burden. They do their job, but they're not using their imagination. They don't go with anything. So that's why po is shvulachem po im lechamor. Stay with the donkey. You see about as much as the donkey. That's the famous midrash. Like I said, I forget who says it, but yeah.
How long does this take? Does it say?
What?
Going up the mountain and coming back down? Time period? Or do you
It's not going to take that long. Are you going up and coming down?
I mean,
Probably a day.
Okay, so they probably
Yeah, they stay here. Right. We'll be back. So the interesting, he says, he says he lies to them.
Right.
Because he doesn't think they're coming back.
Right.
So Rashi says, when he says, "V'nashuva, nidnabesh yeshuva shnehem," really he was giving a prophecy that they would return. He didn't know that. He clearly didn't know that. But, we don't want to say he lied, chas v'shalom, but he was trying to say, okay, fine. Now what happens is, Vayikach Avram and say Allah. So Avram takes the wood for the Ola offering. Vayasem al Yitzchak beno, and he puts that wood on top of Yitzchak. In other words, carried up the mountain. Vayikach bi'ador, and he took in his hand at the age the fire that he had and the knife. And they both went together. And Rashi says, what do you mean they went together? Avraham Shai Yodea, obviously they went together, right? So why are you saying that? Avraham Shai Yodea Shaholich Lishchot Epano. Avram going with the knowledge that he's going to kill his son. Hayaholech Baratzom Vesimcha. He went with desire and joy. Ke Yitzchak. Just like Yitzchak, he didn't know what's going on. He's 37 years old. He's going up to the mountain. He thinks he's going to daven with his father on the top of the mountain. He sees, okay, we have wood, we have the knife, we have the fire. Great, we're going to sacrifice an animal. Okay, but he's 37 years old. He's thinking, and he says, Vayom Yitzchak. Yitzchak says to Avram, Aviv. Vayom Avim. He says, Dad, my father. Vayom Nanibini. Yes, my son. What's going on? I'm here. Vayomer, and he says, behold, we have the fire and the wood is here. But where is the animal for the sacrifice? Where's the ram for the sacrifice? He woke up. We have a problem. We forgot something down there, I guess. I don't know. So what happens? He says, Vayomer Avram. Avram says, Elokim, Yirelo Hasel, the Ola Bani. Hashem will show for himself this ram for an offering, Bini, my son. And again, the verse says, and they went together. What's going on here? So Rashi explains when it says Yirelo Hashem, I said that he'll appear. I don't know how they said that. He'll appear. The set will appear. That's how they translated it. That God will seek out for himself the lamb for my offering. Good, my son. So he says, Kalomar, Yirev Yivchalo Hashem. As if to say that Hashem will look and choose for himself the ram. And if there is no ram, then my son, you will be the offering. That's it. And even though the Yitzchak knew that he was going to be slaughtered, they both went with an equal heart. We're doing the ratzon of Hashem. If Hashem wants me to kill to die for him, I'm willing to die. Now, there's one thing that's really strange about this whole thing that I don't want to be remiss. I may run out of time, so I want to get it right now. What is the midah? What is the character trait that Avraham is known for?
Obeying Hashem.
Chesed. Gemilas chasadim. He will go out of his way to do chesed. He has preached his entire career that Hashem doesn't want human sacrifice. Entire career that he's preaching. He's saying God is kind. He negotiates with God about Sodom and Amorah. He negotiates constantly with people, saying how wonderful God is. He doesn't negotiate here. He's going against his understanding of God. I want to think about that. And this is the biggest test. When Hashem tests us, remember, we have a perception of what we picture God as. If I am seeing God as Elokim, which is who's testing God, a judge, well, I'm not, then it's either I'm being punished or I'm being rewarded, or whatever. Okay? There's really nothing in the middle, and everything is black and white to me. If I see kindness, mercy, and so on and so forth, and I see God is merciful, so then I come up with the great excuse of, well, God will forgive me because God is merciful, so I can break the law. As compared to the guy who sees God as Elokim, I can't break the law. What are you talking about? It's impossible. God will punish me. I have to follow. God will reward me. If we have those sort of simple black and white perceptions of God, and then when we get these commands, we don't know, and then, okay, well, it doesn't fit with my Weltanschauung of what God is. So it must be either I'm wrong, or you're wrong for telling me what he said, because it doesn't fit with what I say, right? And here, Avraham is going against that. It is the most amazing story for that. Hashem is pushing him to his limit of understanding what Hashem is all about. You thought I'm going to be chosadim. Yet I'm telling you, sacrifice. He hears. Again, Avraham is hearing, God's telling me sacrifice my son. Hashem is saying it in such a way that he can misunderstand that. No question. And Hashem is setting him up. And again, Yitzchak, who is known for din, known for judgment, he really doesn't have a problem. He says, okay, whatever Hashem wants, that's what it is. Hashem has his reasons. I don't have to understand. It was black and white. Okay, that's what it is. I said something. Maybe he remembers what he said, and he said, "Wow, okay, I said it." Hashem's pushing. Hashem's saying you have to do it. Pay up. Black and white. Okay, so that's why I think Rashi or the Midrash is saying "belev shaveh" with an equal heart. There's no longer besimcha. There's no longer baratzon. They are both from their perceptions. We're doing it now. Again, Avraham must be taken out of games here because it goes against everything he's been preaching. Yitzchak, on the other hand, it's not so much obvious out of where he was preaching. Let's go on. Yeah.
If it was a thing where he remembered, oh, I didn't say that before, I would sacrifice myself. The phrase comes to mind, my goose is cooked. But in this case, I guess it would be my goat is cooked.
Ah, there you go. Okay, get you go right. But 9. Vayavo'u, so they came Elamakom Hashem Malu Lakim, that Hashem told them. Now, obviously, Hashem told them already. This is where you're going. Vayiven Sham et Avraham et Hamizbeach. Another strange word here. Et Hamizbeach. It should have said. I'll translate it so you know what I'm saying. He built. Avram built there the altar. It should have said Avram built an altar. What does it mean? The. Whenever it says the in the Torah, it's pointing to a specific thing. Yeah. That one. What do you mean? First of all, where to get the stones from? Okay, that you can also say. But Rashi says the altar. What's it referring to? Does Rashi say it? Doesn't Rashi? Rashi doesn't say it. Okay. No. So it said that it means the altar that Avraham, that Adam Harishon made, that Cain and Hevel gave a sacrifice, and so on and so forth. Oh. This is the altar.
Is this the what do you call it? Where the base of Mikdash was eventually built?
Yeah.
What do they call it? The
Evan Shtia? I don't know if it's that. I'm not going to go that far. But it's I remember that's what they're saying. That's why it says at HaMizbeach, this specific Mizbeach that they used. Okay. Yeah.
So is it just was there any
Canaanim?
Yeah. Did they ever see that?
Did they ever see the Mizbeach?
The altar, it's in their land. It's on a mountain that you see apparently traversable.
Right.
So they come in, there's an altar.
I'm sure they did, and I'm sure they knew what it was.
Oh.
It doesn't mean they're going to use it. But I'm sure they did, yeah. It wouldn't surprise me. Again, anytime that we, when I was traveling around here, there were a lot of landmarks. Doesn't mean we're going to use those landmarks. We just take pictures next to them. So I'm sure that they say, that's where the altar was. Yeah, I have no problem believing they knew what it was. Okay, so now what happens? He sets up the wood, and he ties up. He binds. This is what you get. The word akeda means binding. He bound Yitzchak, his son. He puts him on the altar. Mimal eats him on top of the wood. Now here again, you're not going to. This is part of the midrash where they give you the background. The background is when he's binding up Isaac. Isaac says, "Dad, make sure you tie me strong enough so that I do not move and ruin the sacrifice." Notice he was all ready for it. He wasn't fighting it. Remember, he's 37 years old. He's not a little kid. He's 37 years old. And so he's ready to give his life up to God, like he said. Fine. Okay, so now what happens? Vayishlach Avraham et yado. Avraham sent forth his hand. Vayikach edam ha'achelet. And he took the knife, lishchot et peno, to sacrifice his son. Vayikra elav Malach Hashem in Hashemayim, and suddenly the Malach Hashem, the angel of Hashem, calls to him from the heavens. Vayomer Avraham, Avraham, and he says Avraham, Vayomer, and he says this famous line, Hineni, here I am. I'm about to kill my son. What can I do for you? Can I put you on hold, maybe? That's what God wants, and what can I do for you? But Hineni is very polite. Hineni. Now the question is, why Avraham? Why two names? Why call him twice? Lashon chibahu. Rashi says it was a term of endearment that he doubled his name. Now I want you to think about this. I remember I was teaching 3rd grade, and I asked the kids, where do you think he had the knife before? Let's understand. When I slaughter anything, it's a back and forth motion. It's not like this. If I do that, I just killed my sacrifice. Well, I just ruined my sacrifice. Killed it too. But I just ruined my sacrifice. So I have to go back and forth, back and forth. So where do you think that the knife was? Do you think it was on his neck? It was just he says is he sends his hand to take the knife to slaughter his son.
He stretched out his hand and took the knife. He must have picked it up.
So where do you think? It was right here on his neck?
Doesn't say. It just said he stretched out his hand and took it.
Where do you think?
So I used to think of it, but he just stretched his hand out and he took the knife. He didn't say he placed it by his neck yet.
What is on his neck or not?
Probably
No, what do you think when you always hear the story?
Oh, when
You think it's
you think he's about to sacrifice him.
Yeah.
Right? Same as an act.
Yeah.
You agree with me? You agree with everybody? It sounds what it sounds like, right? Okay, so I've seen people say no. Yeah.
I always picture it like,
Okay, so you picture not.
pushing it and
Right. So I've heard some people say no. It's just he stretched out to reach it, and Hashem says, "Well, Malach Hashem says, no, don't go so far, because what would have happened is if he's right in the neck, and we're about to hit a negotiation here. Now we're getting to negotiate, by the way. And so watch the negotiation. So he says the Malach Hashem Vayomer, and he said, "Al tishlach yadcha el hana'ar." Do not send your hand forth to the boy. The al tas lo ma'uma, and do not do anything. Well, you just said don't stretch forth your hand. So what do you mean don't do anything? Ki ata yadati, because now I know ki yarei Elokim ata, that you fear Hashem. V'lo chasachta bincha dechidcha mimeni, and you didn't withhold. Your son, your special one, your only one from me. So Rashi explained, Al tishlach, do not send you forth your hand, lishchot, to slaughter him. So now, Avraham didn't negotiate this whole time. So Avraham says, wait a second. Armalo, so Avraham says to the Malach, Im Cain, if so, if I don't do anything, l'chinam bati l'kan, I've come for nothing. What are you doing here? As the bochavala, let me make a little wound in him. I'll take a little blood, and I can sprinkle the blood. That way, I would have fulfilled my obligation to God, and he'll still live. We'll put a little band-aid on him. Well, it's no fun.
That's not that far-fetched when you do a brit milah for conversion. That's what they do. They draw a little blood.
We're not from their neck.
No, but my point is drawing a little.
Okay, so you're with him. You're with him. That's why you're a doctor. You're with him. Okay, I know, no problem. Little blood, a little scar.
Yeah.
Fine. So Armalos Malach says, Al taz uma. Don't do anything to him. Why? Al taz b'mum. You don't even make him a mum. Remember, he's a perfect sacrifice. You don't make a mum on this guy. Leave him alone.
I may call you later to do it again.
Say again?
I was like, we don't want him to sacrifice. I might do it later.
No, he's saying, you can't, he was a perfect sacrifice, so you don't want to ruin him. Right, so, but he's saying, don't do anything to him. But that's the first time you see negotiation. A little more, what's going to hurt? We'll speak a little blood. Again, think about that. Here he was, now he's having an argument with himself. Really, there's a major argument going on with himself. What am I doing here? I don't get this. You sent me on this road. You're doing this whole thing. And so it says, now I know. Now it's known. I'm a Rabbi Ava. So Rabbi Ava says, Amalo Avraham. Avraham said to him, to this angel, I'm going to explain to you my conversation. Yesterday you said Kibiat, in other words, previously, you said Kibi Yitzchak Yikarei Lechazera, you said Yitzchak will be called your seed. Then you said, he's talking to God really, then you said, take your son. Now you're saying to me, don't touch him. What are you doing to me? How much, I can go with you so far, but it's not making sense anymore. So he says, when I said, so Amal Kodesh Baruch Hashem said, Lo achalel briti motzi svatay lo eshna. I didn't say anything wrong. I didn't nullify the covenant, and nothing. Not one lie came out from my mouth. I didn't change one thing. Kishamarti lecha. When I said kach motzi svatay lo eshna, when I said to you take, that didn't change. Lo amarti lecha shachtehu. I didn't tell you slaughter him. Ella halei. I said bring him up. Asakte, you brought him up. Achte, bring him down. What's your problem? I didn't change anything. You heard, by the way, this is the most important thing you're going to hear from this parsha. You heard what you wanted to hear. You didn't hear what I said. That is the biggest thing in conversation. When we are talking with each other, we hear what we want to hear. We don't hear what you said. That's the major thing. That's why there's so many fights, so many arguments. Because we hear what we want to hear. And Hashem said, you heard what you wanted to hear. You heard, bring him up. You assumed it meant it's a slaughtering. Because that's what your society does. Leave your society. I didn't change. You need to change. The ultimate test, by the way. You can believe me, you can do everything you want. But if you're going to think you're going to put words in my proverbial mouth, then you don't believe me. You're not trusting me. You're trusting society. Okay?
I mean, the pagan society.
Right. Okay, we have to stop here. Okay, I didn't get through the whole thing, but we got through most of it.
Wow.
But yeah.